Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for a healthy table. This is the last session. We made it. Woohoo! And we're so excited to have you with us tonight. This is our Cooking with Wine celebration event. We hope that you grabbed your favorite beverage and a snack and sit back and enjoy the evening with us. As a reminder, the session is being recorded. We do post these on our Healthy Table website for viewing for people that were able to join us. Your cameras and your microphones are enabled. We really want to see your smiling faces and we want to hear from you. So just want to remind you though, when you're not talking, if you could keep your microphone muted so that we don't have any feedback and that people can hear our wonderful family and consumer sciences agents share their information with you tonight. Let's see what else. I guess with that, my words are done. So I'm going to turn it over to Terry for a very special show and tell icebreaker.
Thanks, Kendra. Good evening, everyone. So if you got the email yesterday, you'll know that our icebreaker tonight is to find out what your favorite or most unique kitchen tool is. So like Kendra said, if you have your cameras turned on, feel free to show it to us and tell us why it's your favorite. If you don't want to turn on your cameras, your microphones, you can definitely put it in the chat box as well. But pictures help.
So I brought one to get us started, Terry.
Awesome.
Jill, my friend Jill, who's going to be talking today, she actually, I don't know if you can see this, actually. These are herb scissors. So, and my friend Jill, who we're going to hear from in a little bit, she gave me these. So they're really nice and easy for making salsa, cutting up cilantro, makes it an easy chore of cutting up herbs. Does anybody else have something that they would like to share?
Looks like Lori might have something.
Yes, I use this a lot. I don't know if you can see it, but one end is a cake tester, or you can test cornbread. You could poke it. It's I got it from a Pampered Chef party a while back. And then the other end you can use to pop out muffins or little brownies, individual brownies. So I use this. This has been a great little tool. The only thing is I can't ever find it in my drawer. It's so tiny, but I love it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
I brought another one. Oh, who is that?
Hi, this is Marie. I was just curious if anybody had looked at our group page about the cheese press that I had posted yesterday.
A couple people saying yes, a couple saying not sure. Do you have it that you could show us, Marie?
No, I don't have it, so I can. You got to go to the Facebook group page. Sorry, I don't have it with me. I will see if I can send a picture out or something. But we made some cheddar cheese yesterday. So as all people do, we made mistakes. We forgot to add the salt. So we have our cheddar cheese now sitting in a brine. We had it out drying and then we realized that we forgot the salt. So we have to soak it in a brine, but we are learning.
This is Melanie. Awesome. I was going to share two of my kitchen gadgets. Mine are much simpler than her cheese press. First of all, my husband, I don't know if you can see it now. Oh yeah. My husband and I love tuna fish. And this is like the coolest tuna fish strainer ever. We use it all the time. And if we can't find it, we're freaked out about where it is. But anyway, you open your can, you smush this down in, and then the juices come out, but none of the tuna fish comes out. And it was like $1.50 at Bed Bath & Beyond, but we love it.
That's awesome. It saves a lot of work too.
You can also use that to drain like regular cans of vegetables.
Right, of course.
So it sits over the top. You can just drain it.
Right, exactly. And then also, I learned how to cut up garlic, by your hand and taking the knife and smushing your garlic clove. But when I discovered there was actually a garlic press.
Oh, I think you have to hold it in front of you.
Yeah, okay.
Because of the background.
Oh, good point.
There you go.
Best invention ever. Still, you'll still have somewhat stinky hands, but not as bad as doing it all with your hand.
That's one of my favorite tools too, Melanie. I like that one.
I have one that it's not like that unique really, I guess, but it's kind of nostalgic because when an agent from Hillsborough County, when I first started an extension a million years ago, gave this to me. And it is a ruler, but it also has these little notches that you can use to pull your hot oven out, your hot oven shelf. So you hook it there and you pull the oven out, and then to push it back in, here's a notch that you just push it back in. And it has a magnet on the back and it hangs on my fridge. So when I can pull that out, you know, when I can just take it off the fridge and like use it to handle my oven when it's hot. So I don't have to, you know, burn my hands by accident or anything like that. And it's a ruler, so you can also, you know, measure things with it.
That sounds awesome.
I have a little herb stripper, goes on the herb scissors. I love it because it helps you get the herbs off of the stem. And I also have this little lemon zester, citrus zester, which I love for when I have to make zest. It's much easier than grating it. So those are my favorite gadgets.
Awesome. Thank you, Judy.
They're great ones.
I brought one as well. So this is a vegetable peeler, but it's super handy. I like it a lot better than the ones that are vertical. And then it's got a little spot here where you can get the eyes out of the potatoes if you're peeling them without having to use a separate knife. So it saves work and dishes. Does anyone else have any in chat if you want to post or share on your video?
Well, we appreciate everybody participating in our show and tell
Hang
today.
on. Jill's got one.
Jill's got one. I'm sorry, Jill.
My favorite gadget is a wine bottle opener, and it has been, I think, our class tonight.
You're getting hard to hear, Jill.
This is great for opening bottles and popping tops if you need to.
So she said it goes well with her presentation tonight and she needed it in order to get prepped. So the corkscrew is Jill's favorite gadget this evening.
Okay.
So if
Awesome.
you weren't ready for our show and tell today, but you have something that you want to share, we would love to see that on our Facebook page. Just snap a picture. We love getting tips and tricks too. So we'd like to see if you've got anything that you want to share. All right, next Maria's gonna help us out with some culinary terms. And Marie, while I'm gonna get the poll ready.
Okay, cool. So yes, we are gonna discuss a few terms here. So please participate and just select whatever it is. So the body of wine refers to how the wine feels in the mouth. It can be affected by the percentage of alcohol, sugar, and oak, or both A and B. Oak refers to the barrels of wine is aged or fermented in, true or false. And then, of course, a charcuterie board is a pretty display of cheese, fruits, crackers, and more, or a piece of cardboard, or both A and B. So I think we have pretty much everybody already knew these. We haven't had a single wrong answer yet. Oh, wait, nobody has answered. Okay. Yep, they did. Awesome. So yes, the body of wine is about how it feels in the mouth. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that here in just a minute. And then it is also affected by the sugar, the oak, and the alcohol. And we all love a good charcuterie board. And we have a beautiful one to show you in just a bit. So, all right.
I prefer to call those a party tray.
A cheese
Or a
board.
cheese board.
A cheese board.
That word
You
is
know,
so
whatever you want to
good.
call it. They are quite enjoyable and we really, really, really love them. So I'm going to scoot across the room. I'm going to change the microphone over to Jill's computer so we won't get some feedback. So hang on. And Kendra, if you'll spotlight my cell phone.
I am spotlighting it now.
Can you hear me now, Kendra?
I can. You sound great.
Oh, good. I'm just going to show today an
There's a little
example
bit of an
how
echo.
to cook with wine, and we are going to make a sauce that actually we're using red wine. We can talk a little bit about this later. Typically, red wine is used for a different ingredient, but this red wine sauce today is going to be used to go over chicken. So I'm going to turn on my burner. Marie's my assistant today. I don't know if you can see her or not, but we're going to turn this just to like a medium low heat. Okay, and I've added 1 cup of my red wine. And then I'm gonna add a couple more things here for some flavor. I've got some dried garlic. Now, we had the recipe originally, and if Sam is on, Sam, are you there? We had originally called for 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Now I've got dried garlic here. So who can tell me how much I should be using today? Instead of 1 tablespoon of fresh minced garlic, how much should I be using? Judy, you look like you know the answer.
I'm gonna say maybe a teaspoon or a
Oh,
little
I
bit
can't
less.
hear you, Judy.
Maybe a teaspoon or a little bit less.
Nope, I'm still not. I don't know if you're muted.
She said,
Hopefully
maybe
you're telling me that I should be using less than a tablespoon, about 1/3 of that. So 1/3 of a tablespoon, and that I bet you know this too, is a teaspoon. 3 teaspoons go into a tablespoon. So I'm gonna add this to my red wine, which is starting to simmer. I've also got some paprika here, and this is gonna go over about 3 pounds of chicken in the end. So I'm just gonna mix this. I'm gonna turn this down a bit because I can hear it going. Okay. And I'm gonna stir it up. I'm gonna keep stirring. Marie, would you like to continue stirring? Could you lend a hand? Thank you. And while Marie's stirring, I didn't know I'd need 2 hands here. But what I'm gonna do is measure out my brown sugar. And I'm gonna need 1 cup of brown sugar. Now, the way that you measure brown sugar is by scooping it either by spoon or in your container. You're gonna put this brown sugar into the measuring cup. Okay, you're gonna fill this up. I don't want to start a fire here. Okay, so you'll fill and fill and keep going. This is a big cup. Okay, even until you're overflowing. And what you'll do is start to pack that down. That's the accurate way to measure brown sugar. For white granulated sugar, you would measure that by scooping it and then leveling it off with a flat, straight edge. Okay, so we're gonna just get all of the air pockets out of here. And then once we've got that full cup, it's kind of like a sandcastle here. We can add that in here and stir it up. We're going to reduce this red wine. What we're doing right now is cooking all the alcohol, thanks Marie, cooking all the alcohol out of here and reducing it so that it ends up nice and has a nice full body and flavor here. So we're gonna let this simmer, okay, in just a second for about 20 minutes. Okay.
How do I get back to?
And then Sam, if you're on there, if you could share my infographic there, I can chat about the different wines that we
You want me to share my screen, Jill? All right, let me open it up.
We're just, again, like I said, on a real low heat, just gonna let this go for about 20 minutes. Hold on. Let me see. I don't know, is Sam available? Nope, she's sharing. Very good. Thanks, Sam. So here we've got some different options for cooking with wine. And yep. And if you see on there, you can really, on this picture, you can really cook with any wine that you like. But where you're going to choose, what they generally recommend are that you choose red wines for cooking with heavier meals or heavier tasting dishes. So red meats, heavy pasta dishes with heavy cheeses or red sauces. And even our, like I said, those red meats, those pasta dishes, and all those heavy, really full foods are really going to be complemented by full-bodied and drier red wines. You can see, Sam, if you can move that down a little bit, you can see I've got some descriptions of those red wines, and we'll make this infographic available for you on our resource page on the website. But some light to medium bodies are Chianti. Those are a red wine that is a red wine that's light to medium body. And Marie's going to talk more about what the heck does the body of a red wine mean, or a white wine or whatever. And it's considered a dry wine. Pinot Noir, Zinfandel, Cabernet Sauvignon, those are all also dry wines, again, used for those heavier pasta dishes, red sauce, red meats, and but those have a fuller body, okay? The white wines, okay, that you may choose to cook with, or some common ones, are gonna be used for lighter pasta dishes. Even maybe go with a salad or something, but those can also be paired with chicken and fish and vegetables. So Sauvignon Blanc, Chablis, Riesling and Gewürztraminer, those are light to medium, and those tend to be dry or lightly sweet. Your Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc, those are fuller bodied and a little bit dry. And then you have these other wines. I actually haven't tried any of these wines listed, but I found that they were considered medium to full body and sweet. So when I think of the wines there, I'm thinking dessert wines. They're thicker, they're very sweet. They might hurt your teeth a little bit, but they might be paired with a dessert or ice cream or something like that. Maybe even a fruit wine. Now, if cooking with wine isn't your thing, maybe you don't partake in wine drinking, or just don't want to cook with it, or don't have it on hand. Something else you can do is substitute. So you see that in the list below, you've got some different options. So you've got, you could use apple juice or sparkling apple juice for a light to medium and sweet flavor. You could use white grape juice. Again, that's semi-light flavor, semi-sweet. Pomegranate juice, okay, red grape juice and cranberry juice. They get a little bit heavier as you go on and get a little bit drier as you go on. So just some different options out there. There's always, you know, we always in the cooking world know that there are ways to get around. If you don't have an ingredient available, or you don't like something, then there's usually some way to substitute. Now, what you'll want to consider when you're substituting is matching the flavor profile of the food that you're cooking with, and also matching the looks, okay? So you may want to avoid red grape juice for something that you're cooking that's light, and you don't want to turn red or purple. So But lots of different options out there, lots of fun to be had when you're cooking with wine. Any questions from anybody? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mute my sound because Marie's going to chat with you.
Jill, I dropped your cooking with wine handout in the chat box.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. I'm waiting on Jill to get herself unhooked over.
And Marie, Sam thinks you're a professional stirrer. Oh, we lost your sound. No, we can't hear you. We still can't hear you.
All right, here I am. I'm back.
Missed you.
I'm telling you, I know I can chat with the best of them. So Jill is still over there. She's stirring. This is what happens when you have 3 connections in one house. We're trying to be merciful of your ears, no feedback. But any questions for Jill?
I just wanted to make a point that is relevant to what she was saying about you don't want your food to turn purple. I was watching a video about a man that had a man who was poaching eggs in red wine. And apparently they taste really awesome, but they looked terrible. I mean, they were like this brownish purple color, and you know, you eat with your eyes too. So I'm not sure if someone plopped that down in front of me that I would want to eat it, but it was an interesting concept. Wow.
I'm not sure if I would have signed up for that meal. I'm with you, Sam. I eat with my eyes, and you know, the thing that strikes to my mind is the green eggs and ham, and how kids always want to do the green eggs and ham, and it just the idea of green eggs just does not appeal. So I get it. I do. I'm right there with you.
We even made the ham green at our house to celebrate that book, which was not very appetizing either.
The things we do for our kids, right? Did we have any questions for Jill?
I don't see any in the chat box, Marie.
All right. So Melanie, are you kind of set on your end? Okay, so we're going to let Jill finish over there, just kind of reducing her sauce, and we'll check back with her in just a little bit.
Actually,
And we're going to move on to our next segment, and it is called The Life and Times of an Extension Agent Spouse. So what does that really mean? It means that we have 2 of our husbands that will be joining us this evening to help us determine what it's like to be able to decide what kind of a wine you would select. So without any further ado, is Melanie, can Brian pull a chair up and sit next to you? You'll have to turn your background off, and I'm going to invite my husband Wayne to come sit with me, and we have a special treat for both of them. And Kendra is just giggling in the background. So Wayne says hello, and so I'm going to want a chair. All right. Hey, Brian.
Hello.
Melanie's got to turn off her background so we can.
I'm working on.
Hey, Brian. Hello.
So they both feel, I hope you don't feel like this is a bad thing, because it's not. It's a good one.
He's gone.
No, Brian will be back. There he is. See, he's floating in and out. There we go. All right. So Melanie, do you have his milk products set up and accessible? So we did a class several years ago. I worked with a horticulture agent, and they were talking about winemaking. And so I did this little presentation and I thought it was really cool. And so we just discussed the body of the wine, and that refers to how thick or thin it is, the viscosity of it. So it talks about the alcohol, the sugar, and the oak, which is the barrels that they're fermented in. So it talks about heaviness and richness and, you know, how the weight of it in your mouth. They got a big discussion going over there. I don't know what's going on over there.
Taking pictures.
Gotcha. So
If I'm paying attention.
I gotcha. Okay, so what we'll do is have them drink first off 1% milk, because that's gonna, what we want them to do is to measure the weight of the milk product. So it'll help them determine if they like a full body wine or a lighter wine. So we're going to start with a 1% milk. So Brian, are you ready?
I'm
Cheers
ready.
to you and Wayne. All right, give it a go. And there's your 1% milk. Just kind of think about how it feels in your mouth.
You can have more.
Looking to see,
You need it.
looking for its legs.
So it's kind of light, probably. It must be his favorite.
Yeah, he likes milk.
I love
He
milk.
likes milk. Okay.
I hate milk.
Wade hates milk.
Such a good sport.
Things we do for our wives.
So next we've got whole milk. So it's going to be, again, a little bit heavier. So if you're thinking about that, so the skim milk or the 1% would probably be on like a Pinot Grigio level.
Really can't
So
tell.
now we're moving on and we've moved over. So that's a little bit more full body. So
But as
we're
you already said, you can tell a big difference, or he can.
Yeah.
I can. The first one was very watery and had hardly any flavor to me.
Mhm.
This one has a good amount of flavor and is thicker.
okay. So that's moving along the white spectrum over to more of a Chardonnay, because you're getting that heavier feel. So finally, we have the cream.
This
I don't
is
know what Melanie got, cream or half and half.
That looks like legs right there.
All right, give it a try.
Yeah.
So
That's my favorite.
Tell her.
You didn't
I
know?
like it.
You don't like it, Brian? I
I
like
mean, I
it.
like it in my coffee.
I actually like that.
so that was too heavy for you, Brian, huh? So you're more of the Chardonnay kind of middle of the road. You like the whole milk. Whereas Wayne said he really liked the cream. That's a full bodied. So we're talking about more of a Zinfandel, you know, the heavier, richer end of the spectrum there. So that's just kind of an easy way to help determine what type of body wine you want. So that is step one. So Melanie actually has step two.
Let's see if this will make the.
Oh, he had to go get an Oreo
There you go. You got it right.
to make it more palatable.
That's right.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm
Are
sure.
there any good dunkers for wine?
What?
Good dunkers for wine.
Mm.
He had to cleanse his palate. Maybe that's what he was doing. Okay, Melanie, I'm going to flip over to you and I'm going to let you do the talking.
All right. So what we're going to do now, so we just talked about the body of the wine, is we're going to talk about tannins, especially if you enjoy red wines or you don't enjoy red wines. This might explain why. Most of them have tannins in them, and they can be strong, or they can be very heavy, or they can be very light. They are naturally occurring compounds that are called polyphenols, and that means that it's inside the grape skins, the seeds, and the stems. And the longer that the wine stays mixed with those, the more tannins you're going to have. So what we're going to do to test this and see which level of tannins you like is we have 3 glasses of tea that we steeped earlier, and we are going to have one that's steeped for 1 minute, one for 3 minutes, and one for 5 minutes. And you could always do it farther apart if you wanted to. And they're going to try the first one, and see how they like it. And then we'll try the second one, and then we'll move down to the third one, just like we did with the milk. So if the two of you want to do the one that was steeped for 1 minute, please let us know what you think. He doesn't like it because it's not sweet.
I'm not much of a tea. Yeah. You got a cup of sugar?
It doesn't have very much taste to me.
Okay. What about yours?
Yeah. I don't think it's very flavorful either.
Okay. How about the one that was steeped for 3 minutes?
It's a little better, but
Yeah. I'm gonna try them.
and it's
Does
a little
either
bit
one of
more
them
bitter.
taste dry to you? Does it make your mouth taste a little bit dry?
The 3 minute one actually tasted more dry than the
Okay.
1 minute.
Okay. And you want to try the 5 minute one? That one too strong?
I like
Yeah.
this one.
How do you like?
I like this one.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Okay. So they
It's
obviously would have
bitter.
2 different types of wine choices, because he likes the more full bodied and the one with more tannins, and Brian likes maybe the middle of the road kind of one in the middle, or maybe leaning towards number one.
I'm leaning towards the 1 minute one because it tastes less bad than the other two.
And the one thing about tannins is that when you do drink wine or tea and you get that dry taste in your mouth, that is from the tannins. And that means it has more tannins in it than it does if you don't feel that. Also, the tannins are what give you a headache. If you've ever had red wine and you've had a headache afterwards, that's probably the tannins. And one of the ways you can tell that is dark chocolates and dark teas have a lot of tannins. So if you get headaches with eating many of that, eating or drinking those, you might also get a headache from red wine. And that's funny because I had red wine this weekend, which I don't normally drink, and I had a terrible headache. So the tannins probably don't like me.
Melanie, you just answered the question I was hoping you all would address.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's awesome. Thank you. That's why I came today. I wanted the answer.
To see why you had a headache?
I wanted the answer to that question. Why do I get a headache when I drink wine?
So it is the tannin, and we'll talk more. So do you know what you think you would choose in your wine, Wayne? What flavor or what type of wine you might want to choose?
Merlot. Yeah, a
Merlot.
Merlot, a red Merlot. I like the bitter and the dryness. I guess the tannin is,
Right.
I like that. The more the better.
So I guess Brian's more like Chardonnay.
Chardonnay, but I've always liked the sweeter.
Yeah.
I don't know where Riesling falls into that, but
Riesling is pretty much, that is one of the between the Pinot Grigio and maybe the Chardonnay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're kind of in that lighter version.
Yeah, in the lighter
you're
version.
not surprised I favor the sweeter
No,
stuff.
of course
then.
not.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. I also favor the lighter
Sweet.
ones. What about you, Marie?
I'm kind of the middle of the road, so I kind of like a Zinfandel, but I won't go past that. I'm not a Merlot or what is the really heavy Bordeaux? I don't drink a Bordeaux at all. No.
I've tried them, and I can't drink a glass of them. It's just like a sip, and I'm done. The dessert
Yeah,
wine,
your whole face is just sucked in. It's not my thing, but I think it's a really fun way for people to kind of experiment and decide what road they would want to take, especially if they really want to find a wine that they would prefer and enjoy, instead of going and spending a lot of money on a bottle of wine to say, oh, this is horrible, I would never drink it. So I just think it's fun to do that. It's a really simple way to do it. And you could do this. It would be a really cool kind of party trick thing to get everybody together and watch each other react. So I thought it was a cool thing to do. And I think
it really did. I mean, I already kind of knew what his taste was, and that really did. It fit perfectly. And
Yeah.
obviously, I'm glad Wayne had a different taste, so that we could see the two ends of the spectrum. That's pretty
But
cool.
it fit him as well. That it did. It fit. So I think it's really cool. So I encourage everybody to try it.
If I drink wine, I want Merlot.
Now,
Yeah.
what can we do about that T-shirt, Wayne?
Well, we're losing 4-0 right now, so.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So okay, we're Mississippi State fans, and Melanie went to Virginia.
Oh, and they're playing right now. Virginia's winning 4-0.
And Kendra just asked that we give the husbands an applaud.
Yay! Thank y'all so much.
Good job, husband.
It's the life and times of an extension spouse. And if Sam's cats could have done the tea and the milk, I bet we could find out what they would prefer.
Oh, I can get my cats to drink milk now, but I don't know about tea.
But anyways, so thank them both very much. So Jill, how is your sauce coming over there?
Yeah, it's coming out really well. I just took it off the burner, and it has definitely reduced in volume. And in a few minutes, once it just cools and settles down a little bit, I think we can pour it into a container so that you all can see that that it's thickened up, got some texture there. So it'll just take probably a few minutes to cool and kind of set. And then you'll see that this is much more like a glaze or a sauce than it was red wine to start. So something I was talking with you about, Marie, earlier too, when you mentioned tannins, was the name for, I'm the agent in Okaloosa County, and I don't know if anybody knows, but the Native American translation for Okaloosa up here in the Panhandle is actually black water. And if anybody is familiar with the Blackwater River that runs through the Panhandle in Florida, you'll know that the water is this weird, gross color. And the reason for that, it's actually very clear, it's very clean water, but it's black because of the tannins that are in it from the organic matter. So some of my fellow extension agents may know that from their coworkers, but yeah, it's actually kind of interesting that we see those tannins in throughout, lots of areas of life. So
That's cool. A little bit of history there. So we'll check back with you and your sauce in a few minutes.
Thank you.
All right, Angela, you are up with a awesome charcuterie board, I'm sure.
Okay, so you can call it cheese and crackers. You can call it the appetizer tray or the party tray. You can call it hors d'oeuvres, antipasto, but today we're calling it the charcuterie board. And that actually started as more of something that was cured meats, and then it's added lots and lots of things from there. So sometimes if you go to a restaurant and they stick with it, it might just be meat and cheese, maybe a little tiny bit of fruit. But we've got a number of different things today. And one of the things is to have balance of a lot of different tastes for your mouth to just, I don't know, have a party. Okay. So we have a lot of those cured meats are very fatty, which is wonderful. It's a great mouthfeel. So I do have a couple different kinds of salami, and I also have some pepperoni on here, but I've also got some turkey that's nice and lean, and that is a nice addition to that, and that's a nice sort of calm taste. We've got a number of different types of cheeses. So I've got very, very, very mellow little mozzarella balls, and I've got some goat cheese, chèvre, and we've got some over here. We have a very, very, very sharp, like, ouch, it's gonna just cut my tongue, really, really super sharp cheddar. A nice Parmesan would be the same way, especially if it's nice and salty, almost crunchy, so that you get that kind of texture. And then we've got a Roquefort or a blue right there. So again, there are some very mellow tastes, some very creamy kinds. There are the almost crunchy kinds and the very, very, very strong tastes. So you've got a good balance there. And then a lot of the charcuterie boards also will have some fruit. So I have some blueberries and some cherries because I happen to have those, but you could certainly add strawberries or something like that. A lot of times nice thin apple slices or pear slices work really, really well. So that's these guys here. Some dried fruit could be good. These are just raisins and cranberries. But you could also have apricots. Those are a very common thing on a charcuterie board. This is some mixed nuts right here. You could have those unsalted if you wanted to cut down on some of the salt. However, on the other hand, I'm a big fan of olives, which are usually very, very salty and nice and oily. I like all kinds. So I've got a little combination of green and some Kalamata olives here. I've got a little mustard that's a grainy mustard mixture. So that's really nice. There's some, I think I said the goat cheese. Yeah. So anyway, a good variety of lots of different things. And then to try to make it healthy or healthier, I've also got a number of different kinds of whole grains. So there's some whole grain crackers, there's a whole grain baguette, and then some whole grain bread that I cut into triangles. So we've got all different kinds of shapes as well. And then just because I like to have all of the food groups, it's not on the tray and I don't know how well you can see it, but this is some zucchini that I cut up and I roasted in the oven. And actually I roasted it for about 20 minutes or so with some olive oil, a little salt, pepper, garlic, and some thyme. And then I left it in the oven. I turned the oven off and I left it in there and it kind of almost caramelized even more. So it's really almost like a sweet fruit than a vegetable, but you've got all the food groups going on. And then a great thing to be able to do if you want to add some heat. I don't really have heat on this particular tray, but if you wanted to, you could add some hot honey. That's a kind of it's relatively new to me anyway, but it's honey infused with the chili oil. So you've got your sweet and your heat together. A lot of times also the nuts could be a sweeter version with a little crunchy, sugary topping on there, or some heat that's on there as well. And then you could take, if you wanted to, the cherries and mash them up with a little balsamic vinegar, some red wine, reduce that down in the heat for quite a bit. And then it's a nice, really bold, sweet taste that goes along with that. So there's a lot of different things that you can do so that your mouth gets just stuff from all over the place. It's pretty pleasing to lots of people. And you can make it fun in a lot of different ways, not only with what you have to eat, but how you're going to serve it. So this is just a little spreader, but it's a shoe. So you can do that. I got that from an old CED. Little cute tongs that are in the shape of hands. This is actually for seafood, but it picks up things very, very nicely to put on your tray. And then you could have, depending on what people like, a number of different wines, because some of the bold and some of the lighter flavors here could mix with the different kinds of wines. So again, no matter what you call it, it's just a great thing to have. Balance it out. A little less healthy, a little more healthy, a little lighter, a little harder, a little crunchier, a little softer, sweeter, saltier, all of those things in one really nice tray. And it doesn't have to be on a board. This one's on a board, but it can just be on a tray or that type of thing. So lots of different types of things that you could do. It's up to you. I love appetizers. They're my favorite foods in the whole wide world. Little bits of anything just makes me really, really happy. So use your imagination and go for it. You got lots of choices there. And wait. This is actually grape juice, but bon appetit.
All right, Angela, I'm heading to your house right now, so save some for me.
Yeah, Sam, just come by and pick everybody up on your way.
Okay, will do.
We're all coming.
You are all welcome.
Here in just a few hours.
The more the merrier.
That looks really amazing. So we're heading back over to Jill. And I have to walk over with my computer because we keep sharing all these different devices over here. So let me get back to, all right. Okay, Jill, you're back on.
Great. So, Angela, that looks so amazing. I want to come over, I want to mention, since we were talking about wine and entertaining, when I went on my trip to Italy, that's kind of what they served as like their continental breakfast. It was almost like your setup. It had it had all those different types of meats and fresh fruits and a little bit of breads, things like that. So really interesting. I love that tray. And it's kind of fun because you can just, it doesn't matter if you have a full container of, peanuts in your cupboard. You just grab what you have, throw it into a little bowl and put a few things together and you're good to go. So that's a lot of fun. What I'm going to do is just pour out this sauce. Here you can see it really has reduced probably by at least half. I'm just going to pour it into this container so that you can see that it's gotten thicker. Hopefully I won't make a mess of Marie's home. Okay, but this is a lot thicker. It's not running like wine. And what I can do with this sauce now is, like I said, this is the original recipe calls for putting this over like a baked chicken, but I can really use this a lot of different ways. I could use it as a glaze and then put the chicken back in, into the oven and cook it. I can use it over red meat if I like. So a lot of different things that we can do. Now I added earlier garlic and paprika. You can also salt and pepper this. You can, if you don't like those ingredients, you can add what you like. It's really fun to play around. And it only took a cup of red wine, and it does not have to be expensive wine. It was just what Marie had at home that was open. So we grabbed it and we added those few ingredients, and we have a good, nice tasting wine sauce to dress up our meal. So, any questions about cooking with wine or anything like that? Of course, the difference between, I'm not sure if I said this earlier, the difference between the cooking wines that you might see in the store, the sherry or the marsala down the cooking aisles, are that those are going to be a little bit less palatable. Those don't have quite the refined flavor of a table wine or a drinking wine. They may be a little bit grainier, things like that. So less aging.
Yeah.
So at any rate, less complex, let's say. Any questions? Or any ways that you've used wine to cook at home?
I normally don't cook with wine. I'll add chicken broth or a fruit juice or something that I have. I've just never experimented in that manner.
Yeah, and I don't do it often. And part of that reason is that it is, since I don't do it often, it's an extra expense. And I have a very small apartment, very limited space. So it's just one more thing to store. So I a lot of times use substitutions myself, but if I want to create a special meal or something, I might go out and get that cooking wine, or if I want to experiment. So,
yeah.
Or else I just grab, the bottle that's open in the fridge.
Yeah. I will also use, and I have found surprisingly, even though you would think, and I know you mentioned this earlier in your little infographic, that the red wine can work really well with a red sauce to make for pasta. But in a pinch, I have used some white wines, and they work surprisingly well as well. So yeah.
Of course. And if you partake in wine, it's surprising. You've got to take all of these descriptions and these suggestions with a grain of salt, because everybody's taste buds and likes and dislikes are so different. And the wines, the reason that they have entire stores, entire regions in the US that are, and around the world that are devoted to these wines, are that they are also very different from the, depending on the soil they're grown in and the region.
How much
So
rain?
yeah, how
fall?
much rain they get that year. So go ahead and experiment. You might like that $2 wine in your food more than you like the $50 bottle. So like I said, just have some fun with it. Don't be afraid. Go ahead and start in a small batch with a simple recipe and then go from there.
Absolutely. So I see that our final survey has been dropped into the chat box. We would love to hear all of your feedback, learn about things that you might have learned from us. We will take suggestions. We are planning to do this again in the fall. So if it's an interest of you, please, share things that you might want to know about. Kendra, I'm gonna flip back to you.
Okay. You kind of already gave our introduction for our fall series, but we are planning a fall festive feast is our theme. We have some tentative, pretty solid dates to share if you're interested in joining us again, September 21st and 28th, and October 19th and 26th. So we think it might work better having the dates a little bit closer together and not quite so many. So, but we're interested in your feedback, and that's why it's really important that you fill out the survey and let us know if those dates, that schedule sounds good to you, if this time worked for you, and of course, what else you want to learn. We definitely want to hear that, or any of your thoughts about how to make this better. So this has been really fun for us. You all have given us a chance to practice our technology skills and practice our live cooking demonstrations. So thank you for being a very participating and encouraging audience for us as we have learned to do some new things. We've been able to bring together people from all over the state of Florida. So that is exciting for us. We wouldn't be able to do this kind of thing in an in-person class. And I think we even have people beyond Florida that have joined us. So we're super excited to have you. We hope that you have enjoyed the series and gotten a lot out of it. We, are really interested in hearing about what you're trying out. There's several opportunities for you to stay engaged. We're going to leave our Healthy Table site up. We didn't have a whole new lesson that launched this time, but we did add some new content to our lesson 5 to include some of the handouts that we shared with you today and some of the topics that we shared with you today. There's a couple new videos that are up on the site as well. And then of course we have the Facebook page that you can stay connected with us as well. So
Yes, and if you try any of the things, go back and revisit the site. If there was something that caught your eye, go try that recipe. And if you do that, let us know. Put it on the Facebook page. You don't have to snap a picture unless you want to, but it helps us to know what you guys like. So we will continue to do that as well. We try different things, or as the fresh produce comes in. We've been really fortunate to have a lot of zucchini and squash and tomatoes in the last couple of weeks. So if you guys do something really fun with your produce, we'd love to see it too. You could teach us something.
Yeah, we love sharing recipes and, all sorts of things. So if you have any questions along the way, that Facebook page is a good one to reach us.
So do we get to have husbands again and other family members join us in the fall?
Sure, we will, absolutely. I imagine that Judy's parents they are the best sports that I know of, because they have helped her for years. I remember meeting them when I first came to Florida Extension. So I bet Kendra's daughter might even try a few things for us. And so anyways, yeah, why not?
All right. Well, I'm going to stop the recording.